Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. How are we getting on? Welcome back to a brand new camp build. So for those of you who didn't see my recent community post, a previous hidden camp build, sort of cave build underneath the road near the Valley Galleria, has recently passed the 50,000 view mark, which is absolutely phenomenal. So thank you very much to everybody who's supported that video and watched that. It's hugely appreciated. So as a little homage to that, I thought I'd do a follow-up sort of build today. That was something I've had in the back of my mind for a while. But I thought I'd bring it forward in relation to that. So we're building another cave type build this time. We're up at the top of the Savage Divide, and this is quite a cool, interesting location. I actually saw somebody else building it a while ago. I thought I could do something with. So the cave here actually connects inside the mountain. It's got two entrances. Unfortunately, the lower section is rather difficult to build in. There's a lot of debris down there, and it kind of gets in the way whenever you try and place anything, which is a little unfortunate. And the gap that connects the top half and the bottom half is rather small, so it's basically impossible to get a staircase through there. I did have a good crack at it, but unfortunately after a lot of trial and mostly error, I decided that was just not going to work. So we're going to focus on the upper half of the cave today. So this is where we are. We're up in the northern part of the Savage Divide, as you can see. We're not too far from the Bailey family cabin. We've got the converted munitions factory there and the Fisher site as well. Right in this little section of mountains at the top. And it's a good little location, a little off the beaten track, so not too much foot traffic, and nice out of the way place to camp. So, let's take a look at the actual build, shall we? So, focusing here on the top entrance to the cave, see we've not got a great deal of space in here, but there's enough to be working with. See, just about where the shadow falls here is basically where the top part of the roof part of the cave ends. And we're a little further forward than that here with the foundations I've put in. It was quite a bit of trial and error with getting these into place. The difficulty being that the way the rock sticks out and hangs down makes it very difficult to get the walls in that we're going to put across the front to close up this entrance. So, you need to be quite far forward. You can sort of see the edges just before there where sort of give you an indication of where the front edge needs to be. But you can try it a few times and find the exact position by putting the walls in. If it's too far back, you'll have difficulty getting them beneath the upper part of the ceiling there. Ceiling part, I suppose. But if it's too far forward, obviously you wind up with a large gap above the wall. So hitting that balance, making sure that the foundation pieces are tall enough as well. This is about as close as we're going to get. It's not quite perfect, but it'll do. Unfortunately, we can't get a roof to go around here, which would have closed the gap up quite nicely if I could, but bit of a no-go, unfortunately. It won't clip through the rock there. One advantage we did have in Fallout 4, we could persuade things to clip through at least a little bit anyway. So, we've got the first couple of walls in here. The reason we've got that little sort of alcove on the left there is mostly because otherwise the gap is really quite large between the walls and the roof on that side. It swings up a little bit there. We've got the foundation snapped in. I had wanted to use mostly wood for this particular one, but the stone foundations are a lot more cooperative about snapping through the rock here, so where necessary, I've gone for those. It's nice and easy, just fill up the gap with all these basic foundations. And we're going to put a raised area in at the back here, where you can see the rock face, the rock floor rather, jumps up a little. You can clip foundations right through that up to a point, but it causes all sorts of issues, and this way it gives us a little neat, tidy upper area to put a few bits and pieces. And it'll close that back gap off, because unfortunately we can't make any use out of that. But a little bit of trial here to see what the best way to get this to go up is going to be. Not quite sure what's going on with that light there. For some reason the sunlight seems to come through the roof there. It's a bit strange. But anyway. Drop a couple of walls in the back here. Again, the clipping's a bit of an issue, in that it won't clip when it would be much easier if it would. But there we go. So we'll just drop this wall across the back. I put these angled walls in because these will go in where the square one won't. You can see there, that's just not going to snap. Let's make my mind up. There we go. Nice and easy. It was actually dead simple. It took a lot of fiddling around and playing with it and trying things that weren't going to work at all, but ultimately we wound up with a simple little build here that's really quite nice and cozy in the end. I quite like how it came out. Pity some of the cool ideas I had along the way were unfortunately not viable, really, but the results are still pretty cool, so I'm just going to flip that ramp around. I did try using the stairs, but they'll only go in a little bit further forward, and it kind of cuts off a significant portion of the build space, or the interior space, so I didn't really want that. So a ramp at the back it is. That's basically the inside part done. Dead easy. But the hardest part's just figuring out exactly where to get the front wall to go. So here I want a staircase to get up from ground level. Save jumping up and down that rock face all the time. Snap that first one on. And it's a case of lining the foundations up with the bottom of it. It's a little bit of a faff this, but unfortunately the foundations won't snap to the stairs. It's only the other way around, and eyeballing it without them there is kind of a pain in the neck. Once you've got it close, you can just nudge it up a little bit further, take the stairs off, push it into place, and then snap them back on so that it clips through. But on this occasion we've just gone the other route, just pushed it up as far as possibly can. Still a little bit low there, but that's as far as I can lift this foundation up. See there, we've got a bit of floating and it won't play ball on that one. So push it back a little bit up the slope here. And we can snap the second one behind it. Still a tiny little bit of floating, but it's small enough that you can't really see it, so that works out okay. Especially as we still need it low enough to put this staircase in. There we go. Lock that into place, and we have our nice simple approach. So I had planned to fortify this entire front area in a really big way originally, but fortunately the rock faces were not too cooperative with the ways I want to put stairs in and stuff like that, so this build ended up being much simpler than I had hoped to achieve, but it's still pretty cool. So here again, I can't get the wooden foundation to snap in, so we'll have to put a stone one in. Not going to play ball. Didn't actually need to take these ones off the front, but we did anyway. So 1, 2, 3. Put this back out for the wooden ones. Just having that one stone one in the corner doesn't break up the pattern too much. Make it look too weird. Just checking there to make sure the legs aren't floating in midair. This one would actually have worked now that I look back at it. Looks kind of like it's supported on the staircase, which is quite cool. But in the end, I wasn't really happy with it. That doesn't work at all. So we're going to leave that one off. Come back over to this front edge and put another foundation on the front here. Just extend it out a little bit further. What I'm thinking of here is a place where we can get a decent look out from. Got a little bit of space out front. We can fire down on anybody that may attack this place. Because we've got quite a lot of wolves and a few animals and some super mutants as well spawning just down below. But that is basically the structure put together. You can see the little staircase. We're in the lower cave here. This is where I initially tried to get a staircase running through that gap, but ultimately it basically jammed, I suppose, and I couldn't remove this staircase at all. It felt that something was being supported by it when clearly it isn't, so not much I can do about it. But I've put a couple of the standees and some pointers down here, just because when you quick travel to this place or load in, it's quite common for you to find you actually spawn in this lower cave. Main reason for that is the place I actually put the camp unit was down in that cave. It's worth mentioning that you need to be a bit careful with where you finally position that camp unit. Bethesda have recently changed it so that generally when you fast travel to somebody's camp, you'll spawn in on the outside edge of the build area, which will alleviate a lot of the problems people have been having with spawning inside the foundations, but not in this location. Fortunately, moving the camp unit down into that lower cave, which was I set it up there basically because I wanted to include both halves of the cave in the initial build, and unfortunately that didn't work out. But by having it down in that cave, it allows you to spawn in there, which if you don't do, will lead to you spawning inside the mountain. As you can imagine, it's quite a problem because you can't go anywhere. And fast travelling didn't solve the problem. I had to fast travel quite a long way away and then run back, which was not ideal. But up onto the balcony, we've got our player vending out front, nice and accessible. Not a lot of room up here. I've actually made a couple of adjustments between the daytime tour and the nighttime tour just to make it a little bit better, but simple, tidy, nice little single player home. Area to shoot out with the guard post around the corner there. We'll have a look inside. So, nice and cozy in here. Not a lot of room for a bed. Really quite a small space this, but we've got all the essentials. Bed there, a little table. I finally picked up a few more table options, which I'm quite happy about. Thought, As soon as nuclear winter's out, and I've now got the Vault 51 Overseer's chair, I'm going to have to make use of that. The red stove there and the reskinned power armor station. I've just put all my workbenches here on the upper level, tucked out the way. Plenty of room to use them up here. Too much room, but just enough. And the stash box there. Actually, I found myself spawning in when I was having issues with my placement of my camp unit behind where the weapons workbench is there, which was causing quite the issue. So we've got the fusion generator in here to make sure I've got plenty of power for my lights, my turret, and my player vending. There we go. Nice cosy little home. I do wish I'd been able to close up the front wall a little more effectively, but it's as close as we're going to get, and it looks good. Quite like the little guard post on the front edge there as well. Not really serving any purpose other than sort of tidying up that little edge. But it looks good. Simple and effective. Pity about the slight floating turret, but there we go. But as usual, let's have a look at this thing in the night time. That's when it really comes to life. The warming glow of the lamps really giving it a lot more character, I think. Head on up the stairs. Got a few punji boards on the stairs to stop anybody just running up and trashing my base. Any wolves or mutants, hopefully. Did have a slight issue with the current positioning of that missile turret, because I came back here just after I finished recording, and it refused point blank to target the super mutants down below. So I've had to move that, unfortunately, but we'll use the guard post as somewhere to stand and fire down on them from ourselves. Look round the inside, so nice warm cosy look to the place. Doesn't feel too much like a dank dark cave. Cooking station. Yeah, very very simple, but all the essentials here. Haven't got the brewing stations in, so it could be a little bit of an issue if you do have a bit of a focus on brewing and that sort of thing with your character build, but I don't really use it for this character, so not too much of a problem. I mean, if needs be, you could always put the generator down in the lower cave, put some defences down there, and run the wires up through the hole. That would work. You needed the extra space, but there we go. So, yeah, not too shabby. So I do hope you enjoyed that. If you did, you know what to do by now. As always, social media links down in the description. You see them on screen as well. And if you haven't already, do stop by and catch us on one of the streams. We're having a lot of fun at the moment, playing Nuclear Winter and Adventure Mode as well. And yeah, if you enjoyed the video, do hit those buttons for me. It's always very much appreciated. And if you really liked it, please do consider becoming a channel member. Now, thank you very much for watching. I will be speaking to you all very, very soon.